item for workshop discussion is going to be a presentation by our friends at Chefs International. So whoever from Chefs would like to come up and...
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. John Jackson, King Kitcher Jackson and McQueen. I'm here tonight with Mr. Bob Cooper from Chefs International, and as well as Greg Sonnenfeld and John Palis. We have made some tweaks to our application. As you go through the process, as you spend time with it, they revise, make more revisions. We think we have a more efficient design. We think it's more user-friendly. We believe it has better site circulation. We've done some pretty dramatic reductions to the parking demand. So rather than hear it from me, if I could have Mr. Palis, the engineer, come forward with his diagram, and he can give you more detailed information about the changes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
A couple of examples.
Absolutely.
I'll move this up. Where do you want to talk? Over here? By the boards. Sure. All right. Let me carry. Okay.
Service.
By the way, Mr. Mayor, I'd be remiss if I did not mention, last night Mr. Cooper was honored by the New Jersey Restaurant Association. He received an award as one of the top restaurateurs in the state for some of the work he's done, which I think underscores that Chefs is an excellent fit for Belmar, and you're going to be very satisfied with the job they're going to do.
Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
All right, I have two exhibits. I don't know if I need to enter them as exhibits, but the first one is the old site plan that was presented to the planning board, which represented the improvements that were proposed at that time.
Can you just point out on that where 35 is and where...
Sure. Bottom of the page would be 35, so to the right side would be to the north. Shark River Marina here at the top of the page. This dark building here would represent the original restaurant building. Then there was a an alley on the south side, and then the retail component with the public restrooms, which was facing toward the entrance off of 35, which is right here, the 35 driveway, ingress egress. The colored version, which is obviously much prettier, is what's currently being proposed. And the changes, the building is essentially in a very similar location, a little bit smaller. We tried to improve circulation. We eliminated that cut-through alley. I think that was one of the comments that when we went to possibly here also to the planning board were the comments that was raised. The building itself has been pulled out of the velocity VE flood zone. So instead of setting the building at elevation 14, we're now down to elevation 12 because we're in the AE 11 zone. So now when you're accessing the building, if you're handicapped, you don't have to go up 7 feet, you have to go up 5 feet.
Yeah, I remember there was a ramp that you guys...
It's substantial because of the flood elevations here and the new flood standards that we have to adhere to. This becomes a much more accessible building for handicapped and also for regular patrons. The building itself, the second floor has been eliminated. We have the restaurant will be 10,308 square feet. The retail is 2,032 square feet. The original proposal was for just under 19,000 square feet, so we're reducing the building square footage by 6,600 square feet. The prior application, when we looked at the existing conditions versus the proposed conditions, we were awash on the parking. We weren't eliminating any parking spaces. As a part of this proposal, we actually increase the parking by 21 spaces by, there are a couple areas, there's some parallel spaces here on the south side, and then some 90-degree parking adjacent on the west side of where the gas dispenser, the town gas dispenser is. So that's plus 21 spaces when you look at this layout as opposed to the old layout.
What's the effective parking gain?
And then when you look at the overall, the ordinance requirements for parking, they evaluate the number of seats associated with the restaurant and then also the retail square footage. So the old plan required a total of 346 parking spaces. This plan requires 217. So we're reducing the parking demand for the building by 129 spaces. So when you take the 129 plus the 21 spaces gain, it's an effective gain of 150 spaces, which, as we all know, parking in this general area can be problematic. So this is a net gain from the old site plan, a dramatic improvement. There's also building height. The architect will speak a little bit more about that, but it's essentially a little bit shorter of a building. From an elevation standpoint, we've lowered the finished floor by 2 foot, but the overall height by eliminating the second floor and some of the architectural elements is a little bit smaller. Overall, the site design is very similar. We did move the trash enclosure a little bit further to the north side of the site. We have ample parking here on the east side of the building. One of the added benefits is we do have a drop-off zone at the southwest side of the site. This would be to accommodate valet parking during peak parking demands, and then also simple drop-off parking if it's raining, you want to drop somebody off for quick access, or elderly or anything along those lines. So I think there's a couple of dramatic improvements. The cut-through alley being eliminated, I think is also an improvement. Kind of there was a little bit of a tunnel effect that was going on before. We have ample open space, which would be on the west side, similar to what was there before, but very open decks flowing out toward the Shark River. There is a break or like a physical barrier. There's essentially like sitting steps to prevent free flow of traffic from the pedestrian walkway into the restaurant area. So we do have a couple of controlled access points, a couple of small fire pits as well. It'll be dressed up. There'll be actually an increase in landscaping from the original approval as well.
Have you relocated the public bathrooms and the retail facility to make them closer to the activity by the party boats?
Certainly. The old application had the retail component and public restrooms all the way on the south side of the site. They're now located on the north side of the property. We have handicap accessibility. The restaurant actually has 3 points of handicap accessibility. The retail, which is 2,000, will have stairs and also ADA accessibility. Another factor of steering the design is a lot of the components, the utility components, the transformers, all that that's out there today, if you've seen it, the big silver boxes. Relocation of that would have been a major disturbance for the pier, but also for the party boats and such. So we've actually been able to, with this design, we've created a little bit of a mechanical area on the north side of the building and also the northeast corner where we can maintain those, so we don't have to disrupt those services. So that helps everybody. So during construction, we don't have to take everybody down and put them out of commission.
In your view, from going from 18,000 square feet down to 12,000, more or less, is that a more appropriate scale and better compatibility with the overall seafront area, waterfront area?
In my opinion, yes. I think from a parking perspective, I think there's a benefit. I also think in this location, we're very seasonal. So I think that the building size actually should be a little bit smaller because the winter months, we have a smaller population, smaller attraction. But in the summer months, you know, why have a larger building that's not going to be filled in the winter, but then the building can stay full in summer, but you also have the outdoor seating area in the summer to allow, to attract tourists.
Will this type of facility continue to be a complement to the operation on the Ninth Avenue Pier?
It's identical to what was previously proposed. I think it complements it very well.
Thank you. What I would do, absent questions or after questions of Mr. Paulus, I would have Mr. Sonnenfeld come up.
A question, Mr. Paul. Where would the marina office,
That's part of that's at the northeast corner. That's part of the retail component. The offices, you also have the public restrooms. That's all adjacent to the party boats.
Okay, so how large a space would that? How large a space is that?
I would defer to the architect relative to the interior of the retail.
Any other questions for the engineer? Just for the engineer? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sonnenfeld.
Take this pretty picture off. To answer your question, here's the floor plan that we have. The retail space is indicated right here. I don't know if you can see that. The marina office, and there's also a boater office on that side of the building as well. And then the public restrooms are here. So the size and the number of fixtures remain the same as the first proposed area. The size of this remain the same. So all the public elements have remained the same.
Okay, so even though you're scaling down the building itself and scaling down the restaurant, you're not scaling down?
No. The public elements stay the same. The location is just different. The floor plan, as you can see, the floor plan, this floor is a one floor restaurant. Might be hard to see from up there, but this area here is the kitchen, the back of the house, walk-in coolers, utility space. Over here, this is our main entrance. Over here, you can see the ramp system coming up, stairs, and I'll go back to the engineer site plan, and that shows over on the south side of the building. The patients will come up. There's abilities to go directly to the deck area, which is outside eating area as well. We come into the vestibule. There's a small lobby area, coats, bathrooms for the restaurant, the interior restaurant. There's a dining area, a small dining area in the front. It brings you through the building into a larger dining area with a bar. What we've incorporated were garage doors that will roll up and give the effect that you're outside and inside at the same time. There's a covered dining area over here. There's a bar outside. So when these doors are in the open stage in the summertime, you get the feeling that you're inside and outside. The concept of this restaurant is similar to some of the other restaurants that Chefs has. Water Street, I don't know if you're familiar with that, it's in Toms River. That also has a large outside deck area. The Waterside Restaurant in Point Pleasant also has covered outside area that when we open up the doors, there's a loft dining area that you feel like you're outside, but you're really inside. And what that's going to allow us, and John had mentioned that as well, is that in the winter months, when most of the seating and most of everything's going on inside, we just don't have a big, open, empty restaurant. You'll get a feeling that there's a lot of action going on the inside because the footprint is a lot smaller than the original. As John indicated before, we have access, barrier-free access to the restaurant. There's a ramp over here, a set of monumental stairs. There's a ramp on the rear of the building. And then this whole deck area, this outside eating area, we're going to incorporate shade structures, umbrellas, and it's going to be similar to what you see out at the pier. That's why they complement each other so much. The building, the style of the building is different than the first go-round. It's more of a wharf-style building. We've incorporated metal roofing and a fiber cement siding. The colors are a little bit different. It's more of it's a less formal, it's a more relaxed atmosphere. And again, it works well with the other restaurants that Chefs operate, and they operate very successfully. This is the water side of the building. These are the doors that will roll up, and this whole back area can be opened up to the outside in the summertime.
And what's the side that faces Route 35?
This side here. There's signage, there's flags, there's, we try to break up that long elevation with different things. If you look at the floor plan, the problem, it's not a problem, but what happens is we have, if you look at the floor plan, this back area where our bathrooms are and our kitchen is, it doesn't afford us a lot of window area. So what we did, in lieu of window fenestration, we incorporated dormers, put in glass wherever we possibly could, and then an area over here that the signage, flags, some fun area, and the mechanical space would be behind it.
Mr. Sonnenfeld, in the back area that faces the waterway, will there be things like tables and umbrellas and awnings and that kind of thing to give it like a...
Yes. What's not shown in this elevation would be the fabric shade structures, the tables, umbrellas, similar to what you see at on the pier.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Cooper asked me to emphasize the floor plan that we're showing is what we intend to build, and one of the reasons why we're here with changes is every time he looks at it, there's a new idea. They're constantly changing, evolving, learning. They have multiple restaurants. He's very involved in the industry, and they're constantly evolving to bring a better product. So while this is the floor plan that we're going to build, it's a long-term agreement and partnership with Belmar. So, you know, we anticipate as we gain experience and learn that there might be some changes to the floor plan, and this gives the openness and the flexibility. But this is certainly what we're going with.
Any questions?
Yeah, why did you change? Why change plans? I mean, it's been a year. You guys showed us a plan, I think, a year and a half ago. Now all of a sudden we get a new plan. What happened?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. Mr. Palis went through them. One of them has to do with the feasibility. One of the things we looked at were the mechanical apparatuses that were the original plans called for them to be moved, and as we studied the
You see
feasibility.
the apparatus and what specific?
The transformers and such, they're in the site. They're in the site plan in this area right here, and they're what provide services to the entire pier. So by building and changing around that, we were able to prevent any disruption to the services on the pier, and it's a much more efficient, economical way to go that we think won't disrupt anything. Additionally, as I study it, as we gain experience with the floodplains and the elevations, et cetera, this building was, the original building was set at 12? 14, and now we're down to 12. So that, while it's a few feet, it really gives us the ability to make it a much more pedestrian-friendly environment so that people can come and go. It's an outdoor location. It's a summertime location for the most part. It also exists in the winter. But those little tweaks, and like I said, we learn as we go along. They have a very similar operation in Tom's River, which has been very successful. It's very nice if you go there. And the wharf side is also very similar. And if you're a long-time patron of either of those locations, you'll see they constantly change. They constantly evolve. And we think that's what helps us bring a better product. So that's those are some of the reasons for the changes.
I mean, you guys dropped, what, 6,000 square foot. Did the rent change at all? Or are you guys still paying us the same amount and everything else?
No, it's the same rent, and it actually diminishes our impact on the pier. We just thought it was a better capability. It's unusual for me to come here, anywhere with the client and ask for less than we had originally had our approval.
In our budget, we had, I believe it was 400,000 revenue that you guys were cutting us a check for this year. I specifically remember talking about it at our budget meeting. I asked where this money came from. They said, oh, Chef International, they're going to build a building at the marina. I said, well, they didn't start yet. And he said, oh, don't you worry, they're going to cut us a check before the end of this year. Did we get that money?
The mayor, I don't know, I didn't handle that part of the...
Bob, you know?
But I know there were
paid
issues
it yet.
with...
We did not get any...
We intend to pay it before the end of the year.
Okay, very good, thank you. What about the roof? Is anything going on the roof?
Mr. Sonnenfeld could mention...
Anything going on the roof?
Correct, you guys doing anything on the roof of the building? Or is it just going to be a roof, or is there going to be a...
Oh, you mean like a deck or an outside patio?
That's correct.
Oh, no deck, no patio on the roof. Mechanical units go on the roof.
Okay, okay. Is there a PLA agreement in your guys' contract with us?
PLA agreement.
Project labor agreement?
My recollection of the overall contract, the mayor can probably help, and I think there were provisions in there that we were required to have prevailing wages, and that was all built into the agreement. And I'm sorry, there was different counsel that handled that. I was involved in a little bit, I know a little bit about it.
As far as you know, it's still in there, correct?
I believe that's all still in there?
Yes.
Yes.
If I could just clarify, it's not a PLA, it is a capital project on public lands where prevailing wage is required to be paid as per public law. That's state of New Jersey law.
But there's no union contract, has to be union labor or anything in the contract? Nope. On the record, no?
No, but I believe by having to pay prevailing wages, it kind of takes care of that.
Right, but we seem to go above and beyond what's required of the state in this town. What else? We took a hit where we got sued with the finder's fee because when Chefs International and the town of Belmar cut a deal, they cut out the real estate agency that came to us. Did you guys have any financial burden? Did you guys get sued at all for that? Do you know?
Unfortunately, I think it would be inappropriate to make comments on pending litigation in this forum.
No, it's already settled. So, I mean, the taxpayers paid the money. I'm just wondering if Chefs International had to pay any of it.
The taxpayers didn't pay anything.
It's not right.
Also, the insurance company paid the money, and then we paid the insurance company. I'm just saying, we got sued for that, and my name was on the lawsuit, and I wasn't very happy since I had no part of that deal.
No, if you recall, we were named as a party, and Chefs International settled.
Is that true? Did you guys settle?
Let me answer.
Oh, sorry.
Chefs International settled, and we had to agree to the settlement, that's all. But there were no taxpayer dollars included in that settlement. It's up to this group if he wants to disclose anything more.
That was my question, that's what I was asking. I had figured that our insurance had picked it up.
No.
But,
I'm not familiar with the details of that litigation. I was involved in it at the early stages, and there was different counsel within that.
very good. And I heard a crazy rumor, I'm just gonna throw it out there, yes or no, that's be perfect. The mayor's not involved in any part of your company at all, correct?
No.
Okay, very good, I just wanted to get that out there. Okay, thank you.
You eat there enough.
That's true.
I just want to comment, it looks like a very good project. I have to say, originally, that was a wow. This one looks real good, you know, but I have no complaints, and, you know, I'm sure you'll do as good a job as you've done at 9th Avenue Pier, and good luck.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, what's the number on the outdoor seating, you know?
From Mr. Sonnenfeld.
About 200.
Okay. And the only other question, what's the height of the building now?
It's to the highest point, this peak here, is 34 feet 6 inches.
Okay, and do you recall what it was?
I'm going to guess somewhere in the 80-foot range. Right.
Sounds right.
There was a tower element in it, 2 stories.
It wasn't up here the last time. Okay, that's everything I have. Thank you.
Yeah, pleased to hear about the improvement with the parking, space. Public bathrooms, is that 24/7? Any just open to the public, or how are they going to be?
Will that be operated by the borough, or
That was our, we thought the borough was gonna,
Okay.
that will be operated by the borough, so?
Okay.
I don't think they are now. They're 24/7 now?
Is it for the boaters or the?
Similar to, we have the comfort stations down there that are specifically geared for people who rent the slips. These are more for day trippers, for people coming in to buy bait and then use the ramp and things of that sort. So typically, business operating hours would make a lot of sense, and of course, to partner with chefs in the operation of the pier, make sure that it's open and available for people to use when there's activity going on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would have control over that.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned valet parking.
Well, valet parking would be an operations issue, possibly. You know, when there's events going on, I know at the wharf side, sometimes they'll set up valet. But what this provides is a convenient drop-off area that would not interfere with traffic circulation. So it could be operated right there. Or it could just be a place where, you know, if it's raining or you have someone who doesn't want to walk as far as they might have to find parking, you unload the car right there, you load the car right there, and we think that's a big upgrade over what we had previously.
When's the start date? When are you looking to start?
September.
Should be done already. Any other questions, comments? No? All right, one thing I just want to reiterate with the council, that the Chefs International is completely financing this project. They're paying 100% of it, and then once the new building comes online, it'll be additional revenue of $125,000 a year, every year, increasing a bit every year as well. So this is going to be the single largest revenue generation that doesn't cost us anything in the borough of Belmar. So this really is a great public-private partnership. So the next thing would be to go planning board?
Yes, there's, as you know, we have the agreement with the borough, so the mayor and council need to approve this, and then we would have to go to the planning board where they would look at the nitty-gritty, the details, and they would also have their authority over it. We would have to get planning board approval also.
You plan on doing that this month, next month?
We'll make application with the council's blessing as soon as we get the green light in this forum.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next, one of our meeting, any petitions for the council? No. All right, next are reports from the council. Council President McGovern.
Well, thank you very much, man. First thing I'd like to report is congratulations to the Recreation Department. They ran a great bus trip to see Frozen on ice. I took my granddaughter. She had a fantastic time. And my apologies to April because she sat right in front of Rose as she sang at the top of her lungs to the song Let It Go. My apologies, but she had a great time.
Can you sing a few bars for us?
No, I don't think I will because the microphone's not working. Okay. Again, coming back to some of our athletes that have come through Belmar, Neil Sterling from Belmar was just selected to the first team to the Southern Conference, and all 32 NFL teams have gone to Monmouth University to visit and talk with Neil. So come draft time, it's very possible he could get drafted. You know, the NFL is interested in him. Again, we'll mention basketball. Michaela Mabry on the #2 team in the country for Notre Dame. She scored 17 points as a starter this year at Notre Dame. She's doing extremely well. We had a Harbor Commission meeting last night, and actually, Colleen, I'd like to sit down and talk to you. They have a couple concerns that I need to talk to you about. I noticed that we have on the agenda today the fees for the fuel.
Yes.
But I know they asked last night at the meeting about the slip rates, and I wonder if that's going to be
Those are teeing up for next meeting.
next meeting.
We're just taking some extra time to compare with neighboring marinas to make sure we're competitive.
Great, okay, because they are hoping, because some of the voters are contacting them now and would like to get that
Sure.
lined up for the year. But I will come into you Wednesday or Thursday and talk to you about the other concerns that they had.
I look forward to it.
Great. And I just want to mention on Thursday, December 4th, the library at 10th Avenue and E Street is celebrating the 100th anniversary of the opening of the library. The ceremonies in the early afternoon start at 12 noon, go till 2 o'clock. I know they're working real hard on giving a nice presentation. I don't think anybody here was at the original opening on December 4th, but and if you go there this Thursday, you will become part of history because I'm sure the Historical Society will take some pictures and put that in, file it away for the 200th anniversary of the library. So that's my report for tonight.
Thank you.
Hope to see you there Thursday, 12 o'clock.
Councilwoman Black.
Speaking of the Historical Society, if you look in the display case out in front of this room, all of the items in there are for sale from the Historical Society. They make nice Christmas presents, and the forms are on top of the case. What Brian didn't mention is he's the guest speaker at the library on
I
Thursday.
want them to come. I didn't tell them that, man. They're not going to show up.
He promised to only speak for about 5 minutes. And that evening, they...
I never talk for just 5 minutes.
The library is having a dinner at Randall's. The cost is $50, and tickets are on sale over at the library. The only other thing I'll mention, beach passes are for sale. They make nice Christmas gifts also. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Dean.
Thank you, Mayor. Last one, guys, last one. Real quick, are there any active leases on the boardwalk right now? For all the leases, for food? Are there food vendors on the boardwalk? Leases?
Yeah, I believe there's 4 active leases.
They're actually, was there,
They were leased just for the 1 year this year.
they have the entire year, or it's just seasonal?
I think they're seasonal.
I have to take a look at it.
Yeah,
I-
they ought to.
And we don't want a storage facility anywhere, right, on the boardwalk? I'm just wondering why Randall's Lemon is allowed to sit up there when they don't have a lease to be on the people's boardwalk property.
You want to look into it?
Well, I'm sure everybody knows it's there. Any idea, Mayor, do you know why it's up there? For instance, everybody else removed all their stuff. Why are they allowed to keep their lemon up there? The lemon. And it's the
I
people's
will tell you
board.
that I received an email from a resident who inquired about it. I contacted our business administrator, and it's going to come down sometime this week, weather permitting.
Perfect, yeah, because it's the people's boardwalk, we should be getting rent money or something if it's gonna stay up there. And my son won his match today, 4-2, first one, very happy. And you know what, Mayor, and that is my final report. Done.
We have a meeting the 16th, you know.
Do we?
Yes.
No.
Bye.
Councilwoman,
The lemon can be placed in front of my house.
Hey, thank you.
My kids love it.
Are you talking about my car?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm doing it to congratulate Bob Cooper. I know he left, but that's a great honor, and glad that he works with our town. The DPW updates. The men of the DPW have been addressing sewer and storm water issues, replacing water meters, hanging Christmas decorations, which look great. I think they're almost done with those. Borough Hall looks amazing. I thought I was at Tavern on the Green. I already placed my food order.
That's the restaurant I was trying to remember. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
really? But I said I wanted to Tavern on the Green. They're picking up leaves and brush, sweeping the streets. They'll be starting the placement of dunes on the beach this week. Borough DPW yard rehab will be completed next week at no cost to Belmar residents. Placing snowplow markers on the streets. They have their plows, trucks, salt, drying, and are ready for the next event, plus the regular day-to-day operations. Town's looking great and very all set for the holidays. BBP, we will be putting up the holiday flutter flags,
say it again.
Fluffernutter, on Wednesday. Hope everyone likes the new Welcome to Belmar signs on Route 71 and Route 35. Also with the BBP, there's a store that I do go to in Lake Como that I know wanted to move, and I brought it to the BBP's attention, and we were able to locate a spot for them, which will be the old bridal shop. So that's moving along. I'm pretty sure it's almost set in stone, but we're very excited about that, so kudos to the BBP. Belmar Arts Council, this is a little note from Hutch and the people there. It says, the Belmar Arts Council has asked me to read this shameful self-promotion. The Belmar Arts Council current exhibit is a high-end craft and art market that runs Wednesday through Sunday, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. until December 14th. You can find holiday gifts created by local artists for every budget. Please stop by and say hello and visit the gallery. Personally, I go to this every year, and I purchase a pretty good amount of my Christmas gifts. And I purchase gift cards that Tom Brennan's wife creates, and every year I can't wait to stock up. So everything is beautiful, and please give them your business. Also, this coming Saturday evening, December 6th, the music group Thomas Wesley Stern will perform their unique American folk-style acoustic music at the BAC. They are well known throughout New Jersey and have toured a number of nearby states and the Republic of Ireland. Doors open at 6:30 and a sold-out crowd is expected. A donation of $15 will be collected at the door. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have two things to report on, both flood hazard related. First is some good news that we received our verification letter for our CRS application. CRS stands for
Community Resiliency Score.
Community Resiliency Score. And we are going to be a 6 What that means practically for people is that if you own a property that's in a special flood hazard area, you'll be able to get a discount of up to, not guaranteed, but up to 20% off your insurance. And if you are in an area outside and paying insurance, it's up to 10%. That won't go into effect until this coming May, but at least it gives a bit of relief from folks in those areas, and that's due to the borough's insistence on being more resilient for future storms. Second item is the Lake Como outflow pipe that's proposed. 2 weeks ago, Colleen and I met with the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection, Bob Martin, and explained the project to him as we did with Governor Christie when he came. And you know, Commissioner Martin told us some of the same things the Governor told us as far as the grant applications are going to come out, and they came out December 1st, which is yesterday. There's up to the 15th to respond. Obviously, we're going to respond by then. They did say that the single most important grade, I guess, because these are competitive grants, they're not guaranteed to us. I think there's a total of $50 million, is that right? The nice thing is it is for coastal lakes, like Lake Como, and probably the most important part of the application for competing against others is having it what's termed shovel ready. So the fact that our engineers that have been working on this for months gives us an advantage over some of the other towns that are just starting to get into the game. So we're going to fill out those applications in time, send it back, and keep our fingers crossed. I don't imagine we'll get a full $7 million, but we're certainly going to ask for that, and we believe we deserve at least a lion's share of that $7 million. And again, the most important part is it being shovel ready. That was directly from the Commissioner himself. So we should be in decent shape. When would we hear back? Did they give us a date as to when they would make awards? Sometime in next year?
It was a 30 to 60-day turnaround, but I'd have to check my notes.
All right,
They're looking
so-
for all of these things to move quickly.
Right. And again, that's why they want them to be shovel ready, but I would guess we'd hear back sometime by the end of February. You know, just to be conservative. Hear back soon, obviously that's better, but I'd rather err on the side of caution and say it's going to be closer to the end of February. That's it for my report. Oh, tree lighting. No one mentioned the tree lighting. So our tree lighting, our real tree lighting, by the way. Our real tree at Piano Plaza is going to be this Friday, 5:30. The chorus from Belmar Elementary School is going to be there singing. And there's also going to be a couple new additions. There is a reindeer corral. There'll be all nine reindeers, one with the red nose. And also there will be a tunnel of light. So if you've seen it get built, you know, it looks like a skeleton. Well, that's all going to be lit up. So those three new things: one, a new tree, tunnel of light, and the reindeer corral. And
Can I just make a note that
Yes.
the tree was actually chipped in for and paid for by our Public Works employees who wanted to give a gift to the town.
in other words, Mike Campbell said, everyone throw money into this pot. Or else. Well, please thank the men and women of the Department of Public Works for that very generous gift. And also, I mentioned this last time, but this coming Saturday, I will be guest bartending at Connolly Station from 4 to 8 p.m. It's $10 at the door, or an unwrapped toy. It's for our Belmar Toy Drive.
And Colleen, can you touch on the specifics of jingles and Santa?
Yeah.
When to drop off and where? 'Cause I forgot my notes on this.
Sure, no, absolutely. Our Public Works is, again, coordinating our Santa delivery. So if you'd like Santa Claus to deliver a toy to your child within Belmar, you can drop off your wrapped gift to Borough Hall by December 12th.
December 12th.
By December 12th, just make sure it's clearly labeled on the outside, and that's the gift that our Santa Claus will be delivering with a little entourage on the following Wednesday.
So what date would that be? What's the following Wednesday?
The 17th.
17th?
Yes.
Any idea on time? Like-
6 o'clock, starting at 6 o'clock, we'll start, I assume Santa will start about 6.
Okay.
So drop off wrapped gifts with child's name, address very clearly on it by the 12th.
By the 12th.
And then they'll be delivering them
On the following Wednesday, the
17th.
17th.
Thank you.
All right. That's fine. Next, approval of the minutes.
I'll read the approval of the minutes. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on November 18th, 2014 be approved as recorded and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Councilwoman Keeler Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next are resolutions. We have a resolution that's off the consent agenda, which I guess we're going to leave, even though there's no reason
If
for
you're not, I'm not aware of any conflicts.
any conflicts. We just usually put it on because there tends to be a conflict. But in this case, there are no conflicts, so I don't think that there are, but there's no reason to amend it to put it on the consent agenda. So at this time, though, I'll open up the floor for public session on the resolution calendar. Any comments, questions on the resolution calendar itself? Yes, sir.
Does this include ordinances?
No.
Okay.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion of the resolution calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing payment of bills.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Keeler Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next is the consent agenda. I'll offer the consent agenda.
Second.
Councilwoman Keeler Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next are ordinances. First ordinance is ordinance 2014-18, the ordinance that will never go away. As I have in the past, even though I don't believe I have a conflict, out of caution, I will step off today and turn it over to Council President McGovern.
Good, you got me in there for a second. Okay, at this time, I would like to open for public comment on ordinance 2014-18. Anybody else? If you have a comment, come up to the microphone. Come on up, Dave.
David Schnack, 302 C Street. Councilman McGovern, I guess, are you aware of Assembly Bill 2388, which was an attempt to impose similar restrictions on the bidding process statewide and would have also applied to municipalities? And actually, Governor Christie on November 13th issued a conditional veto of that bill. Have you heard about that?
I'm not familiar with the date.
Yeah, it contains the same responsible bidder language, and it actually would make any job that a prevailing wage was required to be require the contractor to hire either apprentices or pay journeyman's wages, just like very similar to the bill that's been the source of so much controversy here. And I just, if I could, I wanted to, because I know you have intentions of bringing this back. You've stated as such that you were going to look at
not this particular ordinance. We want to get an ordinance for the borough of Belmar for different projects, but we certainly not this one. In other words.
Yeah, well, actually, you know,
we don't want you to think that once we vote tonight to repeal it, that sometime down the line in the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to bring this ordinance back. That's not true. That's misperception.
So the requirement that contractors participate in the union apprenticeship program, that will not be in any.
We're still looking at what other municipalities have, correct? And we have not come up with anything as of right now. What we want to do, Dave, quite honestly, is get this ordinance repealed.
Oh, and I wanted to see that too. I just, my original objection that I thought there might not be a proper quorum was not to try to delay it, but to try to make sure that we got it right so it would stick, So I want to see this go through too.
We want to get
make sure that there are no problems down the road that would have, so it was better to take care of it sooner.
Right.
But, right in the Governor Christie's conditional veto, it says here that, that these apprenticeship programs favor larger over smaller businesses and would hinder the ability of small businesses to compete in the marketplace for bids, which is one of the complaints that we had. Also, he says here that and this is very important, that like number one, that it would make the bidding requirements with the apprenticeship programs and the journeyman's wages apply to any contract where prevailing wage was required. So that would affect, for example, the marina building, because since it's a quasi-public project, they're being required to pay prevailing wage. So I think if this had gone into effect, or if we had our own local ordinance in effect, that might have been a problem. But significantly, and I'll finish up here, is he says here the bill would eliminate some of the central safeguards in the local bidding process. Under the local public contracts law, local entities may not impose qualifications in their bids that would unnecessarily discourage competition, restrict participation of small businesses, or create undue preferences. This bill, however, provides nothing in any other law of this state shall prevent a local government from setting bidding requirements that exceed state standards. This language would potentially supersede the existing public bidding safeguards, thus enabling local governments to create unreasonable and unnecessary restrictions and thereby encourage collusion, less competition, and excessive contract prices. And that's right from Governor Christie's conditional veto of that statewide bill, and it really almost sounds like he's talking about our situation here. Supposed to be watching the tapes of the meetings and where he got some of these ideas, So I just want to point out that that statewide they tried to do this, and the governor, is fighting it. And one of his main objections is that he's afraid that he doesn't want local governments imposing their own, undue hardship on bidders. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, Tom.
Tom Volker, 301 4th Avenue. I'm also glad that you're repealing this amendment. I do feel that it gives an edge to larger companies, or could, and that there are smaller companies that would prove to have a good reputation and would bid on some of our projects, and the reputation would show that they would do a good job. They're just not up to the standard of that particular ordinance. So I'm glad you're repealing it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no other comments, can I have a motion to close the public portion? We have a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye. Okay, I'd like to move a vote for the repeal of this ordinance, 2014-18. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Keel Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Stover?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Just out of curiosity, what happens to the petition for the clerk?
Yes, you can read them.
We've been in discussions, I've been in discussions with Mr. Bueno, and hopefully after this evening we'll have another discussion on it.
So we don't know?
No, at the time when I asked him at the last meeting, he did not know, so hopefully we'll be on this in the next week or so.
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Is Is it dead? It's gone. Four times.
Next, second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2014-18, ordinance amending supplementing chapter 19, revised general ordinance of the Borough of Belmar, section 19-46, handicap parking spaces. Is open for public hearing. Any public comment, questions on this? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2014-19.
Councilman Kilgore?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Garrett?
Yes. Next is, well, that's the end of our ordinance calendar. Next is public session. Public session is very simple. Please raise your hand, wait to be called on, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to talk about whatever you would like. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, I'm Melanie Hunt of 222 15th Avenue. Hopefully I have a less controversial topic for tonight. I wanted to respectfully request of the board that they review the ordinance for the animal house. This was our first summer this past year. We had a beautiful introduction to the beautiful weather and the beaches here. We also got an introduction to the animal house activity in the neighborhood, let's just call it colorful. The neighbors who are also here this evening also experienced it for year upon year. When we spoke with the owner of that home individually, they said, we've always been an animal house, it'll always be that way. They're not making an effort, despite what's in there now, to change the behaviors of the tenants that are there. So we're specifically talking about the chronic offenders. We're not making an effort to change their properties. We did attend the hearing for this individual at the code enforcement hearing. They also recommended that we come here to talk about what's in existence for the ordinances as they stand. So specifically, we're talking about the chronic offenders, and our suggestions would be to, 1, increase the maximum bond allowed, and secondly, to consider revoking or no longer allowing them to have a summer rental license, should they continue as a Category 1 animal house for a period of X years, whatever the board decides to define as a chronic offender. So respectfully request that you guys review that.
What address is this?
The animal house is 220 15th Avenue. They're at the maximum bond. There are others as well, I'm sure, in Belmar that are on the maximum bond level. It's difficult for me to tell with the records how long they've all been at the maximum bond level, but this one happens to be 220 15th Avenue. The owner lives in Homedale. He's not that far away. We don't see him on the weekends.
And he doesn't care.
Nope. He has said it's always been that way. It's been it since I've owned it. It will not be different. And reportedly, he passes along the fines to his tenants. So I still think raising the maximum bond is a good thing. I think it'll help others as well. I don't know if the other animal house owners in Belmar also pass along those fines to their tenants or not. But reportedly, that's what we've been told.
Yeah, Colleen and I are both very familiar with 220 15th. I think it was last summer, the deck, the second floor deck in the front was condemned and torn down by us or by them?
We condemned it and forced them to bring it down.
And forced them to bring it down. So, you know, I mean, I've been to your house. Your house is beautiful. And we want to have, you know, we want you to have a great experience here in Belmar. But we understand who's next door and what the issue is. We could take a look at what additional, or what we could do to change the ordinance as you're requesting. And if you leave your info with Colleen, we'll get back to you.
Great.
That okay?
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks for coming tonight. Any public comments, questions for the council? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Kathleen Deering. Excuse me. 15th Avenue. I'm on the other side of the house, or the animal house. I've been there 7 years, and I want to tell you, it's been a horror story. Basically, last summer, I hardly had any company. I invite everybody here to join me in the summer to see what goes on. The owner could care less. I have spoken to many of the young people that live there. I know they want to have fun, but it goes beyond fun. It's terrible. And I know when he gets a fine, he takes it out of their security. So he's not getting punished at all. And I've been behind her comments. I don't know what the penalties are. And I do request, even though I hate to have it, an officer sitting there on weekends. Maybe in that form. It's kind of embarrassing to have your company come and to listen to what goes on and what they do. I have grandchildren. I really make them go down to the beach. I want them in the backyard. We had an incident where the wall went over the fence, and the kids told me if they came over there again, they would send it back. My grandchildren. I said, I live here, you rent here. But again, serious. You're all invited to come over to see what goes on. It's not only 220, I also have a house behind us that is almost as bad. 220 is the extreme. But so I'm surrounded. Right in the back, right to my left.
And just a quick question, do you think they rent to the same people every year?
No, definitely it's different.
Definitely different.
Yeah.
Just curious.
I'm wondering if the real estate can give out some kind of guidelines to let them know that what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You know, I don't mind them having a party, but it goes beyond a party.
Right.
You know, even when they condemned that roof, he just had somebody come and shear it off. It was an eyesore. They had all this wood stuff out there. And he waited till after Labor Day before he capped it. You know, now you just have a staircase going to nowhere on a deck. It looks horrible. And we have a lovely home. And I hate to move, but there's an option. You know. So, again, I invite you all over to see what goes on. Thank you.
Okay, now again, if you also want to leave your information with Connie,
Sure.
so she can stay in touch with you.
Tom, are you familiar with this particular house?
Yeah.
Would you have, in a meeting, would you have any recommendations to us to control this?
Yeah, I'd like to see it on the. There are some other folks I see from 14th Avenue. There was a letter sent out about a rooming house on 14th Avenue. Do you remember what the address was, Colleen?
405.
405 14th Avenue. This is the one that's been boarded up for 2 years?
It's yellow, right? The yellow one? Yeah, big yellow.
Green, yellow, and the person who owned it, defaulted on debt, defaulted on money they owed us, and they ended up going into bankruptcy court. And two people, two partners bought it out of that. They initially, under their attorney's advice, applied for a rooming house license with us. We told them we would hold a hearing on it, and Colleen and Mr. DuPont were going to act as the hearing officers. And we sent out letters to the neighbors to have them come. I had a meeting with the owners, the new owners of the property, explained to them what the town's position was. They have rescinded their application for the rooming house. They're going to move it from a commercial property, rooming house, to a regular residential property. So if you heard 14th Avenue, just to understand, we apologize for sending those letters out, but we had to based on what they gave us. After our conversation with them, they're no longer going to pursue it as a rooming house. They're going to give up that license, which means they give it up forever. And they're going to fully renovate the inside and fully renovate the back houses, because there's 2 back houses as well, and make it completely residential. So no more single room occupancy.
Does residential mean summer rental? Could it mean summer rental?
In theory, yeah, it could. I mean, anyone can rent their house out in the summer. So I just wanted to cover that in case there was any. Yes, ma'am.
Katrina Platts is 1304 B Street. I live by that 14th house, so I'm very happy to hear that it's not going to be a rooming house. My concern is actually about 13th and 11th, and I have concerns because, and I don't know if you guys can even help me with this, or even give me any information, or if you even know that there's a couple of halfway houses. There's a halfway house around the corner from me. Oxford, I believe the name of it is, and I found this out when I was looking up my tax records. That this is owned by a gentleman, but it's an actual halfway house. Is there any kind of, do we have any kind of ordinances in Belmar? I mean, and I heard there was another one going in on 17th, I believe, that somebody was trying to. I don't know if it happened or not. But my concern is, you know, we're on the edge of, you know, we live in the zone, and I have a lot of concerns about those halfway houses. Not only a lot to do with property value also. So can you guys shed any light on that? Are they allowed? Is there some kind of stipulation? Does the state do it? Does the borough have to approve it?
They, according to the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, who I got in touch with, they are considered single-family residents, just like you and your family. So there's no state restrictions, there's no municipal restrictions we're allowed to impose, no county restrictions. I will tell you, I know both the houses. I've been inside the one on 13th.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of those folks live in, and not only live, but also work in our community as well, at places you may go to and not even know. I've also contacted our police department. Only incident they ever had anything reported was one time someone who was intoxicated tried to go to the house on 13th Avenue, and the people who were there, when you read the bylaws on how Oxford houses operate, no one's allowed to be permitted in with alcohol or even alcohol in their system.
Right.
So they contacted the police department came, and they addressed the situation. I think they brought the person to another location or brought him out of town. The one on 11th has never had any calls. You know, the one on 13th is owned by someone who had been a difficult landlord, putting in some challenging people. And I met with the residents, the neighbors on 13th, not you, but on 13th, explained the situation to them, hadn't told them to contact us at any time. But legally, there's very little the state, the county, or the municipality can do. It's operating like a single-family home, just like yours.
So the amount of people that can live in the home are the same as it would be for anything. So there's so many bedrooms, that means there's so many people allowed to live there. Occupancy rates would be the same as for anybody's house.
Well, that's a little different. Because it's a rental, there's a certificate of occupancy and you can't exceed a certain limit.
Right.
You, me, I have 3 children. My wife and I wanted to have another 8. We couldn't. You can buy one of these. You know, so there's no limit to how many people we can have in our house.
Right.
My entire sister's family and my brother's family, we can have as many as we want. But once you rent it, once it becomes a rental, then you have to get a certificate of occupancy.
Right.
And that is limited based on square footage, based on the number of bedrooms. So there are limits, but it's just like any other rental.
Okay. Okay.
Have you ever had a problem with these 2 halfway houses?
No, I haven't at all.
You probably have more problems with summer
The
kids
seasonal
coming.
rentals
Yeah.
are brutal.
The
you
people
know.
in the halfway houses probably have a lot of restrictions on them, and they probably
Right,
was
and
no
God
problem.
bless them. I mean, I was just curious because I had come to a meeting and I had heard about the 17th Avenue house that was going in possibly. Did that ever happen?
No.
Okay. And did that not happen? Do we know why that didn't happen? Just the person decided not to create a halfway house, or?
You have to ask the landlord.
Okay, so landlord, it was the landlord's choice not to do it, in other words. Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't had a problem with it. I was just,
Good.
I didn't know that it existed is why I asked. And I just wanted to know if there were any restrictions that the town had any availability to do anything about.
No, the only thing we are going to ask for, or need our state legislators for, is to ask for a limit into how many are in our town. So if you look around, there are 2 in Belmar, I think there's 3 in Bradley Beach, there's none in Ocean Township, there's like 1 in Wall. So, you know, when you look at it, it seems like it's heavy in the smaller towns and lighter in the larger towns. So we'd like to see if it can be a little bit more proportionate. But there may be legal challenges and hurdles against that, because you can't really restrict them. But at least we can make the attempt to, again, we're not trying to force anyone out.
Right.
We understand they have the right to live, just
Right.
like you and I do.
Right.
But if we could just put a limit based on our population, we're not saying zero, but at least a limit on our population.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
David Schneck, 302 C Street. So is there another regular meeting scheduled for December 16th? Is that true?
Yes.
So, at risk of committing civil disobedience here, I'm going to ask Jim Bean a question directly.
Please just
Jim,
ask the question to the chair. You know that, thank you.
I'll respond, go ahead.
is Jim Bean going to be present at the December 16th City Council or Borough Council meeting?
I don't know, you'd have to ask him.
I have no reason not to be, it's the first I'm hearing of it, so.
Oh, so you will be there?
Yeah, as far as I know.
All right, thank you. That's it.
That was good.
Yes, sir.
Council, I would just like to, regarding,
Name and address, sir.
Rich Seidel, 2010 Surf Avenue. I would just like the council, or Colleen, if they could possibly look into an issue with, we currently still have those huge sand mounds that are on Lake Como, on Spring Lake side of the lake, and they've been there for quite some time now. So I was wondering if at the next interlake agreement, we get a time frame as when they could become shovel-ready on Spring Lake side, just get those mounds moved somehow.
We can ask him. I mean,
I don't know.
If I could offer, I'm meeting the Borough Administrator of Spring Lake on Thursday. It's on my list to talk about.
Oh, it is, okay, that's all. Thank you.
And also, if you have questions like this or anything else, if you want to email Colleen, you don't have to wait for a meeting to come up or anything like that, just feel free to email her or email me, mayor@belmar.com, and I just forward it on to her and she answers it because she knows what's going on and I really don't. So don't feel like you have to, you know what I mean, or even the house on 15th, if you have, questions or concerns or suggestions, don't feel like you have to wait till every 2 weeks to come up and ask.
Thank you.
Seeing no others, I'll make a motion to close the public meeting and adjourn at 7:08.
I'll second.